Listen to me. Everybody wants to shine, but nobody wants to grind. Everybody loves the spotlight, but they forget the sweat, the pain, the nights with no sleep that build that moment. You see, grind now, shine later ain't just a quote. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It means while they're out there partying, you're in the dark putting in work. While they're comfortable, you're hungry. While they're talking, you're executing. Because you understand that the shine only comes after the struggle, after the grind, after those days you thought you couldn't go one more round, but you did anyway. You got to fall in love with the process, not just the prize. You got to be willing to sacrifice comfort for greatness, distraction for discipline. Because the grind, that's where champions are made. You can't skip it. You can't cheat it. You can't fake it. You can post the results later, but you got to earn them first. The late nights, the early mornings, the doubt, the pain, that's the grind. And one day, when the world finally sees your shine, they'll call you lucky, but you'll know the truth. You'll know it wasn't luck. It was the grind that made you. So right now, I need you to lock in. I need you to dig deeper than you ever have before. Stop looking for easy. Stop waiting for motivation. The time to grind is now, because your shine depends on it. When you talk about embracing the pain of the process, most people hear that and immediately want to run from it because pain doesn't feel good, struggle doesn't feel natural, and failure doesn't feel fair. But that's exactly what separates the ones who dream from the ones who achieve. You have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because the process will stretch you, break you, humble you, and rebuild you into the version of yourself that can handle success. Everybody wants success, but success is heavy. And if you haven't been through the pain, you won't have the strength to carry it. When you embrace the process, you stop fighting against what's trying to make you stronger. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. That's the moment when you start growing, because you understand that every challenge, every disappointment, every loss is building your resilience. You see, pain is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Every successful person you admire has gone through seasons of pain. They've been doubted, overlooked, broken, and tested. The difference is they didn't quit when it hurt. They kept grinding, kept moving, kept believing. Even when they had every reason to stop, pain refines you. It burns away weakness, excuses, and laziness until all that's left is purpose. When you start to see pain as a sign that you're growing, you stop fearing it. You start using it. You start saying, if it's hurting, it's working. Because nothing great ever came from comfort. Diamonds are made under pressure. Muscles grow from resistance. Success comes from sacrifice. When you wake up early while everyone else is sleeping. When you're training your mind and body while others are taking it easy. You're embracing the process. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. And most people won't understand why you're doing it. They'll call you crazy, obsessed, too focused. But that's because they don't see what you see. They don't feel that fire inside you that refuses to settle. The pain you're feeling today is building the foundation for the life you want tomorrow. The problem is too many people give up right before the breakthrough. They can't take the discomfort, so they quit, not realizing that the process was shaping them for the very thing they prayed for. You can't get to the next level without passing through the pain. There's no shortcut, no hack, no easy way around it. You either go through it or you stay stuck. When you embrace the pain, you start developing emotional endurance. You learn to push through frustration, fatigue, and fear. You stop depending on feelings and start depending on discipline. You don't need to feel like it anymore. You just do it. Because winners don't wait for perfect conditions. They create progress in imperfect moments. Every repetition, every failure, every late night becomes a brick in the wall of your success. And the truth is, the process is where your character is built. It's where you learn patience, perseverance, humility, and grit. Those aren't things you can buy or fake. You earn them through pain. You learn who you really are when things aren't working, when the world doubts you, when your back is against the wall. That's when you decide if you're going to fold or fight. When you're in the middle of the grind and everything feels heavy, that's the moment that counts the most. That's where growth happens. See, most people love the idea of the destination, the house, the car, the recognition, but they don't love the road that leads there. They want the reward without the risk, the shine without the struggle. But the process is the price of admission to greatness. If you skip it, you'll never be able to sustain what you get. The grind teaches you how to handle what you prayed for. It gives you wisdom, toughness, and appreciation. Without the process, you won't value the success when it comes, and it'll slip away just as fast. You have to remind yourself that pain is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. Every time you push through pain, you're training your mind to stay strong when it matters most. You're proving to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. And the moment you embrace that, the process stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like preparation. The late nights, the early mornings, the failures, they're all building something in you. They're developing mental toughness, teaching you focus, showing you how to move when nobody's watching. Because success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the dark when nobody's clapping, nobody's cheering, and nobody believes in you yet. You can't fake the grind. The process exposes pretenders and produces performers. It reveals who's serious and who's just talking. The ones who make it don't do it because it was easy. They do it because they learned to endure. They learned to find power in pain. They used every setback as fuel. You have to shift your mindset from running from struggle to running toward it, because the process is what molds you into a beast. When you get tired, that's when you keep going. When it hurts, that's when you push harder. You don't stop when you're tired. You stop when you're done. And don't ever forget, the process doesn't lie. It rewards consistency. It pays back every ounce of effort. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually it all adds up. The pain you feel today becomes the strength you stand on tomorrow. You just have to trust it. Trust that the struggle is working for you, not against you. Trust that the grind is leading you somewhere greater. You won't always see progress immediately, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Every moment you choose to keep going when it hurts is a moment you're growing stronger. Embrace the pain of the process to earn the power of success. Sacrifice comfort today to secure greatness tomorrow means you have to be willing to give up what feels good now for what will feel right later. The problem is most people want both. They want to be comfortable and successful. They want to rest and rise. They want to chill and chase dreams at the same time. But life doesn't work like that. You have to pay the price up front. Every great dream demands a down payment. And that down payment is your comfort. You have to trade short-term pleasure for long-term purpose. You have to say no to the easy things so you can say yes to the things that matter. Comfort is the enemy of progress because it tricks you into thinking you're okay where you are when you were built for more. If you want to win, you've got to step out of that comfort zone and live in the stretch zone. The space where growth happens and average people don't dare to go. You can't reach greatness doing what's convenient. You have to do what's necessary. That means waking up early when your bed feels too good to leave. That means grinding when nobody's watching. That means pushing yourself when there's no guarantee it'll work out. Sacrifice means giving up something valuable for something invaluable. It means saying goodbye to sleep, distractions, fear, and sometimes even people who slow you down. You have to be willing to isolate yourself from comfort zones because comfort breeds complacency, and complacency kills dreams. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're telling your potential it doesn't matter. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you're delaying your destiny. You can't build a future while holding on to habits that are destroying your focus. You've got to decide what matters more, your comfort now or your crown later. The truth is, success isn't built in convenience, it's built in consistency. It's easy to say you want greatness, but it's hard to make the choices that align with it. The greats, the ones who changed their lives, all had to sacrifice something. They sacrificed sleep, parties, comfort, and even approval from others. But they understood something most people don't, that greatness has a cost, and not everyone is willing to pay it. You can't become who you're meant to be by staying who you are. You have to be willing to break habits, change your circle, rewire your mind, and commit to the grind. Every step you take toward your dream will test your patience, discipline, and hunger. It will challenge you to choose between what's easy and what's essential. But the reward is worth it because the pain of discipline is always lighter than the pain of regret. Every time you feel that pull to relax, to procrastinate, to take a break you haven't earned, that's the comfort calling your name. And that's the moment you've got to fight back, because comfort doesn't want to see you grow. It wants to keep you average. Comfort whispers, you've done enough, when deep down you know you haven't even scratched the surface. It convinces you to slow down when it's time to speed up. But the grind, the real grind, doesn't care how you feel. It cares about what you do. You've got to make up your mind that comfort won't control you anymore, that you'll push through the pain, the boredom, the fatigue, because you understand that sacrifice today builds freedom tomorrow. You're not giving up something valuable. You're exchanging it for something priceless. You're trading sleep for stability, laziness for legacy, comfort for calling. When you sacrifice comfort, you start to see how much more capable you are. You start realizing that growth doesn't come from staying safe. It comes from stretching yourself beyond your limits. You start to respect the process because you see what it's producing in you. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're getting stronger. Every time you say no to comfort, you're saying yes to greatness. People around you might not understand your decisions. They'll question your hustle, mock your grind, and tell you to relax. But they don't see what you see. They don't feel the fire inside you. You're not just working for a moment. You're working for a lifetime. You're building a version of yourself that can't be shaken by circumstances or opinions. And that version only appears when you're willing to let go of what's easy. There's a reason most people don't make it to the top. It's not because they're not talented. It's because they're not willing to sacrifice. They want to keep their comfort and gain their greatness. But those two things can't live in the same space. You can't climb mountains while carrying your couch. You can't chase dreams while clinging to comfort. You have to choose. Every day, you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to give up for what I want? Are you willing to wake up earlier, stay up later, study harder, train longer, focus deeper? Because success isn't just about what you gain. It's about what you're willing to lose to get it. You might lose friends, opportunities, or moments of ease. But what you gain will outlast all of that. You're not sacrificing for nothing. You're sowing seeds for your future. The grind is lonely. The sacrifices are painful. And sometimes it feels like nobody understands. But that's the cost of chasing something bigger than yourself. You can't expect people who live in comfort to understand the hunger of someone who's chasing greatness. They'll never get why you're up at 4 a.m. when they're sleeping, why you're studying when they're scrolling, why you're trading when they're resting. But you know why? Because you see what they don't. You see the version of you that exists on the other side of sacrifice. You're not just grinding for now. You're grinding for your future family, your legacy, your peace, your freedom. You understand that temporary comfort can't compete with permanent success. And when you start to live that way, everything changes. You stop seeking validation because you're focused on elevation. You stop comparing your path to others because you know the grind looks different for everyone. You stop needing motivation because you've built momentum. The pain becomes part of your routine. The sacrifices become your second nature. You start to crave progress more than pleasure. And that's when greatness begins to take shape, not because of one big moment, but because of all the small sacrifices you made day after day when nobody saw, nobody clapped, nobody helped. That's the real grind. That's what builds legends. So when you feel the urge to quit, remind yourself that comfort won't give you what you want. Remind yourself that ease never created excellence. Remind yourself that the life you dream about is waiting on the other side of discipline. Every second you sacrifice now is a seed planted for the future you deserve. You just have to keep going, keep pushing, keep sacrificing comfort today to secure greatness tomorrow. Consistency in the dark creates recognition in the light, means that the real work, the real growth, the real transformation doesn't happen when people are watching. It happens when nobody even knows your name. Everybody wants the spotlight, but few are willing to grind when the room is empty, when the lights are off, when there's no applause and no recognition. That's where greatness is born. The dark is where you practice, where you prepare, where you fail and try again until you perfect it. The dark is the training ground for champions. It's where you learn to trust your vision when nobody else sees it. Most people give up because they crave validation too early. They want people to notice their effort before they've earned the results. But success doesn't show up to the impatient. It rewards those who stay consistent long after the excitement fades. When you can show up day after day with no recognition, no cheers, and still give your best, that's when you're becoming unstoppable. You can't expect to be celebrated for work you haven't yet proven. The light only reveals what the dark has developed. Think about a seed planted in the soil. It grows roots in the dark before it ever breaks the surface. The darkness isn't a punishment, it's preparation. It's shaping you, testing you, molding you into someone who can handle the light. The problem is that too many people want to skip the process of planting and jump straight to the harvest. They don't understand that consistency in the unseen seasons builds the strength needed for the visible ones. Every time you wake up early, every time you grind while others rest, every time you keep going after a failure, you're building momentum that nobody can take away from you. You're proving that your motivation isn't based on recognition. It's based on commitment. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's boring, repetitive, and often thankless. It's waking up tired and still doing the work. It's sticking to your plan when progress feels invisible. But that's exactly why it's powerful, because most people can't do it. Anyone can be motivated for a week, a month, maybe even a year, but consistency requires something deeper than motivation. It requires discipline. It requires purpose. It requires the belief that even though nobody sees your effort today, one day they'll see your results. The light doesn't forget the dark. It exposes it. The work you put in when no one's watching becomes the confidence you show when everyone's looking. The time you spent mastering your craft in silence becomes the reason people call you talented. But and I know it's not talent, it's consistency. The dark season teaches you humility. It teaches you to stop depending on praise and start depending on purpose. It teaches you to keep your head down and your standards high. Because the moment you start working only when people notice, you lose control of your growth. The moment you start needing applause to move, you've already limited your potential. True consistency doesn't need an audience. It's not about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Every day you show up and give your all, you're silently building a version of yourself that will one day shine without even trying. The people who win aren't the ones who shouted the loudest. They're the ones who worked the hardest when it was quiet. In the dark, you'll question yourself. You'll wonder if it's worth it. You'll feel invisible, overlooked, forgotten. But that's the price of preparation. The dark season is designed to test your patience, your hunger, and your faith. It's where you learn to find joy in the journey instead of the outcome. You can't rush it. You can't fake it. You just have to keep showing up. Every rep, every hour, every sacrifice is a brick in the foundation of your future. The light will come, but it only shines on those who've done the unseen work. So instead of resenting the dark, respect it. Respect the grind, respect the process, respect the growth that happens when no one's clapping for you. Think about athletes training in the off season, entrepreneurs working through losses, artists creating projects that no one has heard yet. That's consistency in the dark. They don't need validation to keep moving because they know their time will come. And when it does, the world will call them an overnight success, not realizing the nights they spent grinding while everyone else slept. The dark is the difference between temporary success and legacy. If you can stay consistent when the world is silent, you'll shine louder when it finally pays attention. That's why you can't skip this stage. The dark season isn't punishment, it's a privilege. It's giving you the chance to become before you're seen. It's protecting you while you prepare. It's the training ground that separates dreamers from doers. The truth is, consistency is what builds credibility. Anybody can start, but only the disciplined finish. The world doesn't celebrate starters, it celebrates finishers. And finishers are born in the dark. When you commit to the grind, even when it's inconvenient, you're developing a strength that no failure can destroy. You're teaching your mind to work without rewards, to push without praise. And that's when you become dangerous. When you don't need to be seen to stay sharp, when you don't need applause to stay accountable. You stop chasing recognition and start chasing results. The dark becomes your ally instead of your enemy. It becomes your workshop, your sanctuary, your foundation. That's where you learn to perform under pressure, where you learn patience, where you become unshakable. You've got to remember that every spotlight eventually moves. Every applause fades and every crowd goes home. But your work ethic, that stays. The habits you build in the dark are what sustain you when the lights come on. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. So if your preparation was weak, the light will expose it. But if your preparation was strong, the light will elevate it. That's why consistency matters more than motivation, because motivation fades, but habits remain. You don't get ready when opportunity arrives. You stay ready because you've been grinding in silence for it all along. So keep showing up even when nobody notices. Keep practicing, keep learning, keep improving. Let your consistency become your identity. Let your silence become your strategy. The ones who last, the ones who dominate, the ones who inspire generations. They're the ones who didn't quit when nobody cared. They understood that every second in the dark was an investment in their light. So don't get discouraged when no one's clapping for you yet. Don't mistake silence for failure. The world may not see your effort right now, but one day it will. And when it does, it'll look like you came out of nowhere. But you and I know you've been preparing for this moment your entire life. That's the power of consistency in the dark, creating recognition in the light. Discipline outlasts motivation. Grind until it becomes your habit, because motivation is a feeling and feelings fade. You can't depend on motivation to carry you to greatness, because some days you'll wake up ready to conquer the world, and other days you'll wake up tired, uninspired, and uncertain. Motivation comes and goes like the wind, but discipline is what keeps you steady when everything else around you is shaking. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the difference between those who talk about success and those who live it. You can't rely on emotion to build consistency. You have to rely on commitment. You have to build a system, a structure, a routine that doesn't care how you feel. That's what separates the real from the rest. The ability to keep showing up no matter what. When you live on motivation, you'll only work when it feels good. You'll only push when you're inspired. But when you live on discipline, you push whether you feel like it or not. You move when you're tired. You execute when you're discouraged. You stay focused when you're bored. Discipline doesn't need permission from your emotions. It doesn't wait for the right moment. It creates it. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you moving long after the excitement disappears. That's why you can't chase motivation. You have to build habits that make success inevitable. The people who win aren't the most excited. They're the most consistent. They've trained their minds to do what's necessary, not what's convenient. They don't rely on hype. They rely on habits. Discipline is doing the work you said you'd do even after the mood you set it in has left you. It's about keeping promises to yourself when no one is watching. It's easy to show up for others, but discipline is about showing up for you. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build self-respect. Every time you quit, you weaken your confidence. That's why discipline is powerful. It's not just about achieving goals. It's about transforming your identity. You become the kind of person who follows through, who executes, who doesn't need to be told twice. And once that becomes your identity, nothing can stop you. You no longer rely on external motivation because you've internalized the standard. You don't wait for the energy to move. You move and create the energy. The truth is, you're not always going to be inspired. There will be days you don't see progress, days you question if it's even worth it, days when everything feels heavy. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It cares about what needs to get done. It's your internal coach pushing you to keep going. The great ones understand this. They don't train, study, or build businesses because they feel like it every day. They do it because they've decided this is who they are. They've made the grind a part of their DNA. Discipline is what keeps them moving forward when motivation disappears. You can't build a championship mindset without discipline, because the road to success is filled with days when you don't want to do it. And those are the days that define you. When you develop discipline, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop giving yourself options. You stop saying, maybe later, and start saying now. You don't need to feel inspired to take action, because your standard doesn't change with your mood. You train your mind to lead and your body to follow. You create structure in your life, a routine that protects your focus and eliminates excuses, because every excuse you entertain is a step away from your goal. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means persistence. It means that even when you fail, you get up and do it again. It means that even when life hits you, you don't stay down. You show up one more time, every time, until showing up becomes second nature. Motivation is temporary fuel, but discipline is the engine. It keeps you running when the fire goes out. It's what keeps you studying when you're tired, training when you're sore, grinding when you've already achieved something and could easily stop. Motivation will tell you, you've done enough, but discipline will whisper, we're not done yet. Discipline is the part of you that knows success requires repetition. You don't just win once. You win over and over again through consistency. You wake up early not because you want to, but because you've trained yourself to. You push through the workout not because you're excited, but because that's what you do. You've built a rhythm of responsibility, a pattern of progress that doesn't rely on excitement. Discipline is also freedom. It frees you from the chaos of inconsistency. It frees you from the emotional roller coaster of motivation, highs and lows. When you're disciplined, you don't waste time waiting for the right mood. You create momentum by taking action. You're not guessing what to do. You already know. You've built systems that keep you focused. That's how successful people think. They don't depend on willpower every day. They depend on structure. They don't wake up wondering if they'll work. They wake up knowing they will. Because once discipline becomes your default mode, you don't have to force greatness. You live it. It becomes natural. The grind becomes habit. The work becomes a part of who you are. When discipline becomes habit, success stops being a surprise. It becomes predictable because you've built your life around consistency. You no longer chase motivation. You generate results. And those results create momentum. And momentum creates more drive. You start living in a cycle of growth instead of a cycle of excuses. You realize that small daily disciplines are what create massive long-term success. It's not about doing one big thing perfectly. It's about doing small things relentlessly. Every rep, every step, every effort compounds over time. You might not see the results instantly, but discipline ensures they're coming. That's why you can't skip a day, can't take shortcuts, can't cheat the process. Discipline is the long game, and only those who stay committed to it will see what it produces. There's a peace that comes with discipline, a quiet confidence that doesn't need motivation to move. You stop relying on hype songs, motivational videos, or quotes to get you started. You've already decided, you've already committed. Discipline becomes your internal rhythm, your unbreakable foundation. It's what makes you consistent in chaos, focused under pressure, and grounded when everything else feels uncertain. You stop reacting to your emotions and start directing them. You stop chasing highs and start building habits. That's the shift from average to elite. The difference isn't talent or luck, it's discipline. So when you wake up tomorrow and don't feel like it, remember this: your feelings don't decide your future, your discipline does. You don't have to feel inspired to take the next step, you just have to take it. The grind doesn't ask for your permission, it asks for your presence. Keep showing up until it's no longer effort, until it's just who you are. Discipline outlasts motivation. Grind until it becomes